Welcome to Garden Views. Interesting conversations with interesting people who have done and or are doing interesting things. So sit back and enjoy. Welcome into Garden Views. Welcome everybody into Garden Views. We are continuing our exploration into space. What is that? Okay, I'm going to hit stop on that. Sorry about that.
I thought you had a recorded intro and then you talk.
I thought I had a recorded intro too. And this is the continuing adventures of Jeff without his producer. So when I picked up on Media Player Garden Views and heard the intro, I never bothered to listen to the end. And apparently I saved the entire recorded episode. So enough about that. This is not about space or anything like that. This is with a friend of the show, and it's Kevin Castle, who he can use his shoot name if he wants, but he's semi-famous in the podcasting world for wrestling and pop culture as Kevin Castle. So if he wants to use his shoot name, he will. But if not, I will keep it at Kevin Castle. And he's been on Garden of Doom a few times. He's been on Hammerlock Hangover a few times. But what we're going to talk about today is not wrestling, because what Kevin mostly talks about on podcasts is other stuff. But in that, he lets it be known that he has been in the music and club business for his entire professional life. He manages and books bands for major venues in the New York City area. He also has managed and currently manages certain bands as well. So that's a business I know very little about. So I figured that we'd have Kevin on and talk about that, and maybe it's something different for him to talk about as well. So Kevin, thanks so much for being on Garden Views. How you doing tonight?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on. That's a nice intro. It's a better intro than I get on my own shows. When I have other co-hosts on, build me up. I like to be built up. I'm not built up often enough on my own shows.
Put you over. We're gonna put you over.
Yeah, put me over. There you go. The wrestling. We always goes back to wrestling. Kevin Cass is what everybody knows me. People wouldn't even know me by my real last name anyway. In this world, they'd be like, "Who the fuck is that?" So Castle is fine. 30 years using that name now. So
fair enough. So, Kevin, if you want to give a brief bio, you can. If not, you can go into sort of how you got into the business and sort of, correct or embellish on my description of your real world job or jobs.
Well, actually, this year, we don't know the exact date. Like, I was talking to people who work with me, even to this day, started out with me a couple of years later, guys I actually hired, when my initial start date was in the business. But it was in 1993, early 1993, sometime in February, so this would probably be the month, or maybe it was March 1st. We're still debating on that. We can't find those books that far back. But, so 30 years this year in the club businesses in general, from starting out from handing out flyers to coat check to, as you would see, someone work their way up maybe in the hotel industry or the restaurant business, starting out as a busboy, becoming a maitre d', maybe becoming a manager, kind of just that process of, again, back to wrestling, paying dues and learning the business from the inside out. Wrestling, too, like you see like a guy, Bruce Pritchard, who's a big shot today, started out putting up the ring and driving the ring truck. And so, I started out humble beginnings. It wasn't like, I started booking bands and limelight and made a name for myself. It took a while, but the whole process started in 1993, 30 years ago, almost to the day coming up. And ironically, to just say this too, and I'll do some sort of celebratory thing, I guess, with Mish on Wrestling Soup for this down the road. 20 years now this year, 2003, where I started the Hotlines, which turned into audio shows online, which became called podcasts as of 2009, but I actually started in 2003. So 30 years in one industry, 20 years in the other, almost to the day is coming up.
Wow. You're almost like a Da Vinci of the entertainment world.
It's crazy. Yeah, they say every 10 years I get into a new profession, but I didn't do anything new in the 2010s, unfortunately. It's kind of same old. But it's kind of cool. I think longevity is, always respectable in anything that you do. I think if you rent an apartment and you've been living in your landlord's house for 30 years. You must be a great tenant. I think if you, do anything that you have longevity, and clearly you're either doing something right or someone is overlooking all your flaws and you've managed to skate the razor past any criticism. People didn't take a good look at you. But in my profession, that would be impossible. And in the wrestling podcast where it's impossible to hide, so to speak, from any controversies. I mean, you get social media platforms can put you on blast at any minute for saying or doing the wrong thing. But it's about, I think, surviving and sticking around. And I've had adversity where probably other people would have quit over certain things, that have happened to me, where they would have not turned tail and run, but would have been like, fuck this, I'm not doing this anymore. And I kept at it. Now, honestly, the 2023 that we're in, probably happier than ever in both my professions. Couldn't be happier in the podcast platform. I'm at exactly where I need to be right now. And maybe not as big as some of our compadres and our compatriots, like, the JDs and the Jasons, but I started out just as before them. They respect me as like kind of an OG. I don't need to be a top guy. I just need to be in the conversation and be respected as a groundbreaker, which I am, by the people who are important, not the naysayers. Who cares what they say? And same thing for the club profession. I don't work at the biggest venue, but I've worked at the big venues. Again, I kind of had a decent run in both aspects. If you want to even, do the Hall of Fame career, probably more, in my opinion, in the club business, than because that's a fucking tough business. Wrestling podcasting, come on. I mean, and let's be honest, that anybody can do it. There's so much competition now. There's competition in the club business too, but COVID actually wiped out a bunch of competition of people who couldn't maintain. And I didn't want people to go down like that. Like, you don't want to see even your competition go down at the hands of something like, the virus overtook them as far as financially, and they weren't able to come back. People have their runs and they run out of time or they run out of steam, but you don't want to see anybody go down out of something that they couldn't control. That's like, someone gets an illness. You don't wish that on anybody. That's not their fault or something if something strickens them. But in podcasting, I'm pretty happy where I am. With the club business, happy too. I might have even taken a step back. Some might even say a step down from the Don Tony Kevins show, maybe a step back, a step down from Blackthorn 51, which is a major venue, to work a smaller venue. But I'm where I need, at mid-50s at this point. I'll be 55 this year. I'm happy where I am. I mean, I went around the block a little bit to get to where I wanted to say to close this out, but I'm happy where I am right now.
Well, that's good. And so we're going to focus mostly on the club business and the music management business. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, this is just going to be a 101 to the extent it's possible. So, I imagine that managing a club is like any other, business, but I want to focus more on the music booking aspects of it. So, how does this happen? When I say this, how does booking a show happen? Does the club go out and through agents or contact bands, or do bands and or their agents contact the clubs? And are there contracts? What are the typical rates? Does it depend on how many tickets they sell or their anticipated draw? Do they take a percentage of the gate? I know I'm asking a million questions in one,
right.
But I'm just trying to give you an idea as to, the roadmap where I want to go, because I know that you can sort of take it from there.
Yeah, no, well, first of all, even starting out when I was starting to do shows and book shows, it was all from the ground up. Like, I got a room, one of the first clubs I started out was a club called, which is no longer there. A lot of clubs are no longer there that I used to work at, because you're talking 30 years ago. It was a club called Ferraris in Westbury, in Long Island. And my cousin was dating a guy who was opening up the place, and I had worked in 89, 90, 91, 92, doing fan club work and street team work for record labels, where you would be like the New York guy, California band. You would go out and hand out flyers for them and try and get your friends to come to the show, get a bunch of people, you get free tickets, or if it was seated, you'd get great seats. So I did a lot of that stuff. So my cousin had said to her boyfriend, his name was Scott at the time, Scott Ferrari. That's his real name, by the way, too.
Really?
I haven't seen him in 25 years. But I have no idea what happened to him. But he opened up this club, and it was going to be a mixture of a dance club and a rock club. And then we just conversating one day. He came to pick her up for, I guess, a date, and we were at my aunt's house in Long Island, and she's like, Kevin is like just a bastion of knowledge when it comes to rock bands and metal bands. And I was talking to him, and he's like, "Oh, you ever book shows?" And I was like, what do you mean, like as a promoter? Yeah, not really. I mean, I do street team work, but you know a lot of bands. Oh yeah, no, I know a lot of bands, local bands, national acts. Yeah, he goes, so why don't you want to book maybe a couple of nights at the place? I says, well, yeah, you book the bands, we'll staff it, figure out, we need how many bounces, whatever, and just going over like the whole thing. And I was like, all right, maybe this could be something interesting that I can do. I mean, I've been to so many shows, and I talked to so many doormen at shows, and people who worked in clubs, bartenders, soundmen. I knew everybody, but I was the guy who, kind of promoted, but on the outside, like the flyers, and I would come in with the band. I'd be a friend of the band, but I wasn't the guy who put it all together. And everyone would say, do you ever see Paul Heyman's documentary where he goes, why can't I do this? And so I would be like, yeah, I mean, I do everything. I know the music business. Yeah, I can be that guy. Of course I can be. And all the bands would tell me, dude, your bedside manner, the way you talk to people, your chatter and all that stuff, and you got the jargon, you can easily book bands. Okay, all right. Well, I had a regular job. I was working at a place called the Institute of Justice as an administrative assistant for an attorney. And yeah, I had a real job answering phones, so I always had a good speaking voice, and I always, again, my whole thing was talking. I was working on this Roam phone system, answering phones for about 14 different people at this company, so I was a good talker. And that's, again, how Anthony D'Antoni picked me out of everyone, leaving messages on his voicemail when he was doing his show for me to get to where I was with that in 2003. So yeah, my talking game always got me opportunities, and this was no different. So he gave me a night to book. I booked a couple of my Brooklyn friends' bands. I even booked a bus trip where we got about 60 people to come on a bus from Brooklyn to Long Island, and we packed the place out. It was great. And so I made some good impressions, and he was impressed by what I did. And at the same time, I was going to shows. I don't know if you remember the old club, the Limelight in Manhattan. Remember the Limelight? The big I
remember
club.
Ferraris also.
Okay, yeah, Ferraris was there for a few years, then it became strictly a dance club. But so I booked the Rock Nights. I mean, so creative, Rock Night. That's what it was called, ROCK Night.
Nice.
I've become much more creative since then. And at the time, if you remember, Jeff, in 1993, grunge was king. I mean, Everything was Nirvana, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, Screaming Trees, Grunt Truck. All that hair metal was dead. Everything was fucking grunge. So everybody sounded, Jane's Addiction, Alice in Chains, everybody, Lollapalooza. So everybody I booked sound like Alice in Chains, basically, right. or Pearl Jam. Everybody was a yardler, like singing like a Seattle band. So there was no fights because it was so chill and it was mellow and it was dark and it was brooding. So there was no violence. So you didn't have to spend a lot on security. Get the standard one security guy. Actually, the law in New York is one security person for every 75 people. That's actually a law on the books. So believe it or not, if you have 150 people in a room, you only have to have 2 security guys by law.
It's like
in New York.
daycare. You have to have X amount of
so 70
for children.
Right, one licensed security guy for every 75 people. So again, booked all these stuff, and it was successful. I was at the Limelight one night. I was there to see a band called Widowmaker, which is Dee Snider from Twisted Sister, and I'm up at the top of the area. It's like a old church, gutted out church that became a rock club. And I was with my friend who worked for a metal magazine at the time, my friend Tom, and my other friend George, who worked for Earache Records. So again, I have all friends in the industry, and I'm kind of riding high from my several shows I've done at Ferraris. And I meet a guy who owns a club in Jackson Heights, Queens, called Castle Heights, and it just had opened up in December '92. It was open for a couple of months, and he was looking to do shows, and Tom knew him from Jackson Heights, and he said, "It's my friend Kevin. I booked. Oh, he just opened up a bar with a stage and everything." I'm like, "Really? Yeah. You want to come take a look at it and do some shows?" Yeah, okay. Never been to Jackson Heights a day in my life. I knew it was not that far from where the Mets play. That's all I knew. like the Mets are not that far from there when I go to Flushing. So I went to Jackson Heights, and at the time Jackson Heights was a scary hood, bad neighborhood, not a good neighborhood. So I remember going there. I'm like, and going there from the train station with Tom, going, I'm not going to work it. No matter how great it is, I'm going back home, and I'm never coming back to Jackson Heights. So
the important thing is, were you wearing sleeves?
Yeah, and it was a long trek from Sheepshead Bay where I was living on the train. It was 3 trains and a long ass walk
Ooh.
from the train station to the club on Northern Boulevard. So we
See,
go
people don't
there.
know why I asked you that. Kevin never wears sleeves.
No, I
His
never
his,
wear sleeves. I never wear
his arms
sleeves.
are
No.
completely sleeved in tattoos. He never
Yeah,
wears sleeves.
that is true. But I do wear sleeves if I have to go to an occasion. Like when I went to a wake time, everybody was impressed that I was dressed up. I go, somebody died. Like, the whole bets are off when somebody dies.
Right.
But so long story short, I go in there and it's wow, just debaucherous and craziness, and two people were having sex on the pool table, and we go to the back and there's a tough biker looking element, and I'm like, yeah, I'm doing like grunge shows in this safe part of Long Island, and this badass hood's not for me. And I'm just thinking in my head, but I met Frank Castle, not the Punisher, but that's his name, Frank Castle.
Too
And
bad.
I become Kevin Castle later on in my gimmick. And he's so charming, and so I'd met him before, but it was so hard to talk at the Limelight with the noise factor and everything. So when we got to be in a closed environment in the backyard, sitting at a table, and he's smoking a cigarette, drinking a beer. I don't drink, so he gives me a soda, and he's just so charming, and he's just so into it, and wants to make a success at his place, and he's very family oriented. He's from Vigo, Spain. And very, very. Again, his Uncle Louis was his partner, and his wife, who worked. Remember the band, the Cranberries, Zombie? Remember that song? And
Sure,
all?
of course, yeah.
She worked for the Cranberries and Ziggy Marley
So he got
Music,
in your head. In your
and Island,
head.
yeah, and Island Records. The Island Records. She was a co-executive at Island Records, so that's how he got the finance to open the place. His wife, helped him out, but he's just a fan, metalhead. Like he doesn't know how to book bands. This would be great. We'll start out in the business together. I'm a new club owner. You're a new promoter. I think we get along. Let's do this. And I was just like, all right. He was like an Antonio Banderas. He was just a charming guy. And I'm just like, I like this guy. I don't know. I think this could work. I have a real job. If it doesn't work out, it's not a big deal. I live with my brother Joe. I split rent cheap at the time. So I go back home and my friends like, let's book death metal there because it's a badass place. We're not going to book like these light grungy rock bands. Let's do some death metal and hardcore. All right, I just don't want to book anything that's going to have fights or anything. He goes, well, anything can happen at any show. You can't think like that. So my original partner lasted with me, by the way, for about 3 months, and he got
Right.
fired. He got fired by the owner of Castle Heights because he had said a disparaging remark about Frank's wife, and that got back to Frank. That was not very nice.
Right.
So I was on my own, and again, without going like too far into this, try and get to the end of the story. That's really where I started out, where I did a whole assortment of different music. My brothers, as you know, my brother John Draper, is a singer for hardcore bands over the years. Got more into rock at his later years as he got older, but as hardcore roots, my brother Mike is still a notable figure in the hardcore scene. So is my youngest brother Mark, who's the most successful in hardcore in the band Shutdown, which is a international band. They've played everywhere, all over the world. And so again, I had those connections for hardcore. I already had my own connections for rock. My partner was death metal. We had punk rock friends and I just started booking a cavalcade of different acts there. And before you know it, it's spring of 1993, and I turn around and we're still there in 2002. So I'm there 9 years later. We had just a 10-year run as a club. I was there for 9 years and about 9 years and 8 months, and must have booked 2,000 shows there over that 10-year period. And that was where all the experience came from. And a lot of big bands started out there. Some bands that some people listening might be familiar with are bands like Hatebreed. Mastodon was a band that started out with us, who's a international juggernaut band today. Just a ton of bands. Lamb of God, when they were called, was it Bleed the Priest? There was just so many. My doorman just blows my mind when he reminds me of all Shadows Fall, Cryptopsy, Immolation, and all these bands that started out with us. It was an amazing ride. It really was. And to this day, the club gets a lot of love. It's just 20-year anniversary of its closing. It closed in November of 2002 because the lease wasn't renewed. The owner of the property decided he didn't want to have a rock club there anymore, so the place became a tapas bar. You know what tapas bars are,
Yeah,
right?
sure. Delicious. Small place.
Yeah. So and that didn't last very long, and unfortunately, the property burned down About 7, 8 years ago. There was a tattoo shop that had a fire on top of the property of the club, or what became a restaurant, and the whole place burned. So it's not. Everyone's like, "Oh, wouldn't it be great if you found some money and reopened it?" I'm like, "No, well, it's completely different now. It was gutted out and demoed, and it's a different building now. So it's gone. Almost it was apropos, as a lot of people said, because couldn't recreate that. But that's where I got my start, and I was there for 10 years. And I had lost my job at the Institute of Justice over with layoffs in the late 90s. And I was doing so well and so busy at the club that I never went back to 9 to 5 jobs, and I remained in the club business from 97 on. And everything I did was in the club business. Podcasting was a side business. As you know, Jeff, it was never a living for me or anything that would bring in any kind of revenue to make a living.
Thank goodness it's not for me.
Oh yeah, no, geez, I mean, yeah, I mean, some people, again, I named the bigger, the Jasons, the JDs, the Conrads. That's another level. Maybe I could have gone to that level, but I never did. And that's where you can make a quote unquote living out of doing that gig. But it was a side gig for me. It was more passion project than, we're in the money. So yeah, I had to make a living. So the club business, I was booking Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays. I was booking all the entertainment. We were doing sublets, which I do today. Rent out the club to someone, help them organize it, staff it, secure the event. I'm almost like today. I'm not a promoter anymore. I'm a head of bookings and I'm an events manager. So
do you have to deal with the contracts? Do you submit the contracts?
I haven't done a contract since I've been back from COVID at the new place. I haven't been involved with any contracts. Everything has been on a gentleman's agreement and a handshake and a verbal agreement with the ownership that gets handed down to me. We haven't done any contracts since we've been back. That's
even
the funny
thing.
Even for sublets, even for movies that we've rented the place out for major HBO. We haven't. I don't know if my boss has signed anything. I think he's forgotten half the time, and half the time everything went fine anyway, and there was no problems. It's believe it or not, those kind of agreements still work when you have the two parties that just honor what they verbally say they're going to do, and it's a small venue. It's not anything that is so grandiose that there's so many, I's to dot and T's to cross with this place. It's a small place. So
you're making my I'm getting cringy. I'm having conniptions right now.
Yeah, because you're on the legal side of it. But no, I mean, I think it's a testament to the ownership of that club, who was around long before I got there. They were competition of mine. If anything, I was on another team. It was almost like I was a Red Sox and I became a Met, or I was a Met and I became a Dodger. Wearing a different jersey and stuff. It's the same game, but I'm wearing a different uniform. Funny enough, I took some of the players from my old team and got them jerseys, and they play for this team now. But yeah, no, the old club I worked at was all contracts in Queens, which has now been closed down. COVID wasn't able to sustain during COVID. Called Blackthorn 51, and they did major shows there, and ownership always had contracts with hip-hop places and stuff. I never got involved in that. I would just be the go-to guy, and basically to set the table and make sure everything was good to go, start times, staffing, scheduling. Any band needed kind of a little coddling because they were boo-boo face over something, I'd be the guy to talk to them. I was kind of like a liaison is the best way to describe it. Kind of like the publicity relations liaison, where, matter of fact, the whole thing, let Kev do his talking thing with them. He'll take care of it. And they to this day, I get calls from ownership and say, this guy's all bent out of shape about this and that. Can you get on the phone and do your thing and kind of calm him down? Yeah, be a fixer, calm him down, but not in a bullshit way. Right, I would say some people have compared me, not even joking around, not literally, but to Robert Duvall in The Godfather, the consigliere type of guy, the Duvall guy who goes in and tries to negotiate. He's not the muscle, but he has maybe a look of he could be. But he's not a thug guy. He's a brain trust guy. So okay. Maybe like a little bit of the Wolf, Mr. Wolf from Pulp Fiction. That kind of guy. I mean, not the tippy top guy, but the guy underneath, the underboss type of guy. But the guy with the bedside manner who could make you walk away. A guy told me the other day something that made he goes, I always feel better when I talk to you on the phone. Like when I'm playing here and I have like a little something of doubt, modicum of doubt. I talked to you. I feel better about it. I goes like, oh yeah, like okay, and it was nothing that I really did other than reiterate certain things and go over stuff that we went over already, and we double checked and triple checked, and it wasn't anything I did. I mean, it was just a talking thing, and then we'd wind up
But you
talking about.
listened.
Yeah, you listen, and then hey, you think the Mets are gonna have a good year this year? Oh yeah, yeah. And they get off the phone, they're like, yeah, we're all good. And then I just got an email from a band that rented out the club on Sunday and just raved about the sound guy that I got for that show. It was just so great, and that the fact that the owner came down to watch the event, he was honored to meet him, and it just again, dude, these are little. I think everybody likes to feel special in their own way, and I think when someone, it's almost like a complaint department. You get a call right away from the store, and it's like, Mrs. Jones, and Mrs. Jones is the nice one in the shop, and oh, thank you for calling me back. Yeah, I love going to your place. I just had a little bit of a problem when I was there, and I just want to vent a little bit. Can you hear me out? And I'll be like, yeah, tell me what's up. And I think that's really what it is. People want to be heard, and they want to feel like you are not blowing them off, or you're going to be cryptically sarcastic, or like, oh fuck this, like they don't think I hang up the phone and go, oh fuck this guy, you know what I'm saying? They feel like Kev really understood my issue about like this technical problem I had last time, and he assures me that's not an issue, and I think that's what it is. And even if something does go wrong, they felt like it's nobody's fault, because obviously it's something we couldn't figure out, and it was just the elements, and things just happened. No one did it on purpose, and the sound man was on his game. It was a technical glitch. People just want, I understand they want their events. It's like having a wedding. They want it to go perfectly. They have a show or a record release party. We had a thing the other night where we played a video, and the video had no sound. And I remember one of the guys, I'm at home. I wasn't there for that show. I don't need to be there most times. But because the home office is literally where I'm talking to you right now. And it'd be like, I can't figure out the sound. And I said, well, text one of the sound men. Our main sound guy will hit you back right away. He'll walk you through it. While you're talking to me, talk to the head guy and just text Alexi. He'll and then by that time, he texts me back, goes, band's cool with it. They just said, forget it. They're going to play it live. And I was like, uh-oh. And after I know I'm going to get an email, dude, the video didn't work and we had to play it live. It turned out it was the best thing, because everyone loved that they played it live and they didn't watch it on the screen, that they actually played the song live in person, and it got over so much better. So the guy said, nah, man, I didn't even care that there was no sound. I told the sound man, cut it, and we just played it live. I was like, great.
All worked out.
Yeah, it's all worked out.
When you say this, when you book a band, who starts the booking process? Do you start it by contacting the band? Does the band contact you?
Both. It's 50% of my job is me going out and getting clientele, and 50% is them coming to me and me placing them, doing placement, job placement almost.
Does the club have like a budget per show or per?
No,
do you have a band range, or does go ahead.
Sorry. We operate in a weird, like not in a weird way, kind of in the way of the L13 way, which is. I call them up. We had a band the other day who had a ridiculous amount of money they wanted, and I called the ownership and got on the phone with them, and they usually throw it back to me and go, well, what do you want to do? I was like, if the money's not made, can you guys cover it and cover the staff expense of it? What's the chances we'll have to do that? I mean, 70-30 in your favor. All right, yeah, we'll take that chance. It's not even 50. No, it's better than 50-50. Okay, but, most likely we won't have to. But if we do, how much will it be? And I'll tell them how much. Like, yeah, we could cover that. That's not where old ownership, if he lost a dime or a dollar, I would never hear the end of it. I mean, I would hear it so constantly, I would put the phone down and iron my pants while he was venting on the phone and wouldn't even be talking to him. Literally, I would just be like, psh, and just be like, but this ownership is just, they have the Vegas Atlantic City attitude. We win some, we lose some. This business is a gamble. If we sign off on it, it begins and ends with us. We don't blame you. You're our guy. But when almost like a manager, hey, it's on me. We lost the series. It's not on my hitter because he struck out. The guy got 10 home runs for us in the last 6 games. He struck out in this game. That's not his fault. I probably shouldn't have batted him third. I should have put him in fifth. So, again, ownership takes responsibility. That's what I love about this club, is that the responsibility is that, hey, our name, we own this place. Where other places I used to work for, put it on the staff. It was so ridiculous. But you hope to be majority winner. in the club business. But you have to prepare to lose. Every show cannot hit. It's impossible.
So let's just say that your average budget for a band, let's just say the Mustangs. I'm making up band names here. And your average target is your average show per band is they get $5,000. But instead of the Mustangs, it's I don't know, Roger Daltrey has a new band and he's coming around and
the Muskrats.
Right, and they want 7,500, and you're like,
I send them to the Monarch, which is a much bigger club. Actually, when there are bands, honestly, what you're saying plays into my reply, which is if it's out of our budget, I send them to one of our competition clubs.
Okay,
and actually,
so you guys stay within your budget.
I stay within what's realistic for the club to not only break even but turn a profit, but always break even. If you have to break even or turn a profit, you can't lose. I never understood people who are bookers or in-house events managers or help plan stuff who go, oh, we're going to lose our ass, but it's going to be a hell of a show. I'm like, I look up in the air almost like The Rock with my eyebrow, and I'm like, you're losing your ass going in? Well, God, dude, you know how much money they get? Yeah, that's why I'm not doing them. Why are you doing it? Well, I think it'll be a good publicity for the club. It's for the bigger picture. And I'll say, it might not be for the bigger picture. It might actually, it's pretty deflating for a club and ownership at the end of the night to tank it, come out of the register and have to pay everybody, and their profit for the night, which could have been a blockbuster, was $200, which doesn't even cover the liquor bill for that night. What was the point? To operate at a loss makes no sense to me. I never got that. Never understood that.
No,
you say no. You say no. You say no. That's like if someone, I date within my means. If there's some hot girl and she's like, I only go to 5-star restaurants, I'm like, well, see ya. It was a nice fantasy. So you have to stay with. There's people. My mother used to say, your eyes are too big for your stomach. Where you go out to eat, I want to eat that. I want that. I'm going to get that for dessert, and then it's all sitting there, and you got a stomach ache. It's like, why'd you order that food? Oh, I thought I could do it. I know what my limitations are in this business, and I think ego is what gets clubs and promoters in trouble. I've worked for owners like that who've hid in office because they didn't have the money to pay an act, and they were trying to figure it out, and they were calling their wife and seeing if they could take it out of their personal account. And I'm shaking my head. I'm like, we shouldn't have done this show. I mean, I'm not talking about now. I'm talking about clubs I worked for over the years where I've run into literally a hiding club owner in the back where I'm like, what's up? I'm actually short like $1,000. I'm like, and even would ask staff for it. You know what? Front it for me. I'll pay double next week. And I'm just like, why did we do it? I knew this was going to happen. Oh, I thought I didn't realize that, the overhead. And you even warn people, but there's even competition clubs now that I see every week who do these events that are way over their head. And I wonder how they even paid their DJ, because I don't know where the money would have came from. It's so expensive now. Inflation has hit the club business hard. Drinks are more expensive now. Ticket pricing is not so bad in the local clubs. Look, our average show is like between $12 and $15 to get in. It's not bad at all. Actually, people have commended us for keeping the show prices down. That's me. I've actually spearheaded shows to be between $12 and $15 at all times. My philosophy is cheaper than a movie. That's almost like our logo at this point. It's cheaper than a movie, and you get more time to hang out and see much more bands.
Because you make money on alcohol anyway, right?
You do and you don't. It depends. I mean, here's the thing. When you promise 50 people, right, we're going to draw 50 people, whatever, they don't know if those 50 people are going to drink. And I have seen many times where people walked in, they walked to the back performance room, they watched the band, and half of them never went to the bar to purchase anything. So right, what the fuck was gained? So they'll say, we packed it out tonight. How'd we do? At the door, fine. Bar revenue, nada, nothing. Right. Oh, is that bad? Yeah, for the sublet rental to give you the back room and the bar not to benefit off of that, and the bartenders made $30 in tips for 5 hours, it's not good. So, because they can't figure out, it's like, well, look at the room. I'm like, half the people didn't drink, dude. I watched them literally bypass the bar. So it's like they're sitting at the tables, they don't even drinking anything. There's no drink minimum in our club. And they don't want to do that. That's never going to be forced on anybody. There's been clubs that have done that, and it has been hell for the staffs because they have to go around and check and make sure people got their 2-drink minimum and badger them and bother them. It's not pretty, dude, when you got to do the minimum. It's not pretty.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure that there are different philosophies on that. But you also manage some bands. I'm not going to ask the particulars about the bands that you manage, but what is I'm sure your band has a particular ask that they ask for. But as a manager, what's like the going rate? What is your manager's commission?
It's 15%.
15%.
15,
Is that
yeah.
pretty standard in the industry?
Yeah, it's at the end of the show. It used to be 10 years ago. A lot of people make it 20, but 50. Again, I always go somewhere to the affordable middle is my philosophy with everything. And that's why I always, again, with keeping admission prices low, cheaper for shows. If I see our competition has a show that's $18 to get in, I make it 15. If I see it's 15, I make it 12. And that's the good thing, and when ownership goes to you and go, what do you think? That's the best feeling because for 8 years in Queens, this is what it is. And I'd be like, yeah, but okay, it's on you guys if it goes bad. I'm like, well, it's not on us. You're the boss. Like it's not on us. Your philosophy is it's on us. Literally, it's on us. We're workers. We're not the ownership. So I always thought that was funny. And that owner, by the way, has got more money than God and made sure he had that money. And I think he'll be buried with it. But this one is like, no. You guys work, your staff. Again, we open this place. We know the pitfalls of having staff payouts and stuff. It's not on you. That's not your title. Our name's on the marquee, not yours. So It's like I said. Well, you should talk to my old boss in Queens. He didn't have that philosophy at all. He almost put it on the coat.
Be a surprise. I mean, that's the way it should be. The owner takes the risks and gets the reward.
Absolutely.
The employees are paid. I mean, they're
right. You're right, Jeff. That's like them going up to Sami Zayn, like Triple H, saying, "You didn't sell all the merch tonight that we thought you would, so we're going to take it out of your next check." Right. Because that we have to offset the expense. So that's going to come out of you because you headlined tonight. And it'd be like, I mean, again, I worked with some characters over the years. Not like I said, no names mentioned, but just head spinning. You're a business guy. You're a legal guy. You would be shocked by some of the precedent that was set by these guys, what their philosophy of right and wrong was in business, and you would probably be like, "That's completely illegal." Like you would, and it's almost like a blue wall of silence in the club, almost like with the police department. You kind of don't tell tales out of school. You can be cryptic about it, like I am, and not name names, but there's no one who literally comes out and posts something and names names, because then you'll be an albatross in the business and nobody will ever hire you. So I could do it in a joking fashion, in a past tense fashion, but if you do it in the present tense and name names and drop dimes on people in the industry, you'll never last. You'd be blackballed. Yeah, you'd be blackballed out of
nobody likes a crook, but everybody hates a snitch.
Right, but what they do like is people admitting, at least, that there's chicanery in the business, like in wrestling. Like, oh, you guys get along. Oh, yeah, we're one big family. Oh, God, dysfunctional. Yeah, there's a bunch of because there is a bunch of misfits, miscreants, and ne'er-do-wells in the club business. There absolutely is, but there's a lot of good people too. People who don't drink, don't do drugs, straight as arrows, sober as a church mouse, don't partake in any of that kind of stuff, and are all about
you're
business.
Completely straight edge, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm completely straight edge. I mean, but I'm talking about people who really are. I mean, I'm a decision maker to a degree, but I'm talking about the ultimate decision makers are the ownerships. And I've worked with some real colossal disaster ownerships and some real good ones. Ones I work with now are so good in business. I mean, they're around for years and years, and that goes back to the beginning of the show, longevity. And I think again, longevity, I think is a proven testament to someone who maybe hasn't been the biggest deal in the business, but someone who was a deal in the business and a player, just like we see in wrestling. Hey, that guy's been around. I say it all the time. There's nothing wrong with a Tito Santana-like career. You know what I mean? I probably have that in the club business. And you know what? I'll take it.
That's your new name, the Tito Santana Castle.
Kevin Santana. Kevin Santana.
Right. Kevin Santana. You can raise your commission once you book like 2 or 3, tours where they're doing 80 shows opening for Metallica. Then,
I mean, I don't, when it comes to my bands, we have such a weird thing. We don't even have a set thing sometimes. Because one thing that changed the game, a key factor that has to come in this conversation, was COVID. I mean, 16 months of locking us out, basically, of our jobs, clubs, no shows, no touring, 16 months on the money. And we are back not even 2 years. It's going to be this July. It'll be 2 years since we're back. And before that, 16 months of close down. Why I'm back on another team, so to speak, now, not at that old team that I used to be at, the bigger team, because the bigger team imploded during COVID because of back rent and everything. They just couldn't make it. I knew when COVID hit, once we got past the summer and we were already closed down 6 months, I knew we were finished. I knew it. And then the announcement just wasn't made till like a year later officially. But I knew it. Staff was like, so, Kev, you going back when we reopen? I'm like, guys, that club ain't reopening. It's impossible. Hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. How? Well, they have the loans, and they have there's these charities that are helping clubs out and save our stages. You know how many people applied for that? You know how difficult that was to get money from that operation?
Right, and the Save Our Stages was mostly for Broadway anyway. But, do you think that the owners kept it open just to apply for the PPP loans and then just couldn't ride it out, or they were just waiting for the right tax year to,
I'm not sure. I don't know what the one that I used to work at went, because I was so kind of, I have my own boo-boo face and bitterness at the ownership of that club, because during COVID, none of us were contacted or asked how we were doing by ownership. Being there, we were there for 8 years, and we were on the pay no mind list. I remember one time one of the owners called me up during Halloween of 2020. We had been closed since March, by the way, here from on Halloween, and he called to ask me if I was going to see some movie. And I said, "Oh, I'm alive, by the way." And my whole family was wiped out by COVID. I mean, it was almost comical. I said, "Dude, what's today? What do you mean? It's Halloween. When was the last time we spoke? Months. March 11th." I go, "I work for you. Well, you could have called me." I go, "I think the onus is on you to check on your staff." "What do you mean I could have called you?" I was shaking my head, and right there I decided, I go, I'm not going back. Because this was, they say, like, who you'd be in a foxhole with if things got bad, or who you would turn to, like who you would fight side by side with and who you think would turn tail and run. I realized that day, just that, wow, it's a real, I joke and cryptically clown around what a heartless business the club is. COVID hit, this worldwide pandemic. It was like, all right, push everybody out the door, save myself, save my equipment, my foundation, my money, apply for grants. But the staff guys, hopefully they'll be okay. And I didn't like that at all, because I saw other clubs doing GoFundMe stuff for their staff people. From everyone who, like I said, from coach check to people who worked the kitchen to serve food at the clubs, and everyone's like, "Yeah, did your boss take care of him?" Like, we got nothing. We left that club with nothing. You left with. I got not a dime during COVID from the club business. You remember, I would go on my shows and vent that I'm seeing people who were in the business for like 3 years come out with some sort of safety umbrella of finances, because their ownership looked out for them, wanted to retain them when they reopened and bring the staff back. I was from just this fractured team that just was every man for himself, and I was like, I got to go to another team. I got to get off this fucking ship. And sure enough, it was going down anyway. That was another thing. We never got a heads up that they were officially going out of business until it was posted on Facebook. But the beautiful thing, Jeff, is I was first thanked in the thanks list from ownership for his dedication over the years. Yeah. Yes, Kevin Castle. We want to give him a special shout out. Yeah, Kevin Castle would have liked to be able to pay his Con Ed bill at that time. But other than that, so yeah, I made the move, and what I did, and I think these guys, hopefully they're grateful for it. I took some of those other displaced, jaded workers from that venue, and I brought them with me to this place, and they're with me to this day. I got them. Basically, I looked out for them and got them jobs when no one looked out for me, basically. And that's not a brag. That's just what I did.
Very good.
So they owe me, Jeff. They owe me.
You think you'll ever cash in?
I'll never cash in. They don't even say thank you half the time when I give them the jobs today. So there's a thank you problem, Jeff, in the club business. Thank you, please, and sorry are very difficult words to come by in the club business.
Well, Kevin, I think that nobody else except the two of us will care about this, including people listening to it. But since you're my witness, that on February 22nd, 2023 at 7:40 p.m. Eastern, before Dynamite went on the air, I am telling you that my source told me what the announcement that Tony Khan is going to make is, and that it's the reality show that they've been working on for a while is going to get an air date and is live. So that's the big announcement. So I try not to talk about wrestling on this show, but I want to at least document that I have a source that will either be proven to be right or wrong within the next 2 hours and 20 minutes. So in real world time. So, and for those of you who aren't interested in wrestling, which is probably 90% of the Garden Views listenership, sorry. But we'll, try to do differently next time.
Sure.
Kevin, any tips or insights about the music business from any side of the coin that we should know about? I try to keep the show, 45 minutes to an hour, but I want to let you give us some things that you've learned other than what you said. Be loyal, be consistent, be reliable, be smart.
Be tenacious. Yeah, be tenacious. You definitely have to you have to use your voice. You cannot survive in our industry now just texting people. You're going to have to get on the phone. There are bands who insist on speaking to you directly. There are bands who insist on meeting with you, whether it's on at the club or on a Zoom call. You can't just text and email and never deal with people like in a verbiage situation. Again, you make people feel a lot better when they talk to you. They feel like, okay, I feel better about this now. And I feel better too when I talk to them, because sometimes you get some of these super cap people in text where everything's capitalized and almost like they're yelling at you. I'm like, I'd rather them yell at me on the phone if that's the case. Let me get a feel for the temperature of this chat. And I get on the phone and it's a different world and they'll say the same thing. It's like, I really don't call people anymore, but I wanted to let you know that I wasn't mad and maybe it came off that way. And it works out so good. And people have actually even said, because even ownership is on board with me, no, we don't cold book anybody. You have to make a phone call to rent our room. You have to have a conversation with us. And people are like, oh, I can't just get the information in a text. Like, no, we like to hear a voice. We like to hear a voice. And they'll be like, oh, okay. So we're kind of bringing it back old school that way. I know there's restaurants and stuff who never even meet their clientele half the time. They book them for a table and they ask hey, how did everything go with Mrs. and Mrs. Smith? Oh, yeah, everything was all right. Or whatever. It's so impersonal. I know everybody. When I book a band or a band gets rebooked, I know all the members' names. I know everybody. I feel like they feel like they know us. They know our staff guy's name. It's like the Cheers bar. Everybody knows everybody's name. I make it very personal. And again, everyone wants to feel special, even if it's to the slightest degree. So I think if you're going to be in, it's almost like being in the food service industry or restaurant, bar, club industry is in the same family. A rock club is different from a restaurant, but it's all about customer service. You know what I mean?
Yeah, hospitality.
Right, hospitality. Listen, many times back in the day, you call and you get a nice maitre d' on the phone. I like to reserve a table. They have a little ha-ha with them. And, oh, how many? Oh, we bring your mom. Oh, okay, we'll give you a nice table. Oh, it's your mother's birthday? I know exactly the table to give you. And you feel special. And so you come into, well, you're the guy I talked to on the phone. Yeah, oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Oh, happy birthday to your mom. People, Jeff, you'd be so surprised how far that goes. I mean, it really does. And it's not, and also not coming off fake and just being a guy, just treating a guy like another dude, like a dude treating another dude. We talk about the gig and you do this for fun and blah, blah, blah. And even if someone doesn't have a great time, you get them to come back and you're like, you know what? You had an off night tonight. Everybody's entitled to an off night. We get them next time, and we always have repeat business. So I think that's also your goal. Never have a band or someone rent a room one and done. You never see them again. You want them to become a regular thing and do something with you on a regular basis. Rent out the place for a birthday party, engagement party, bachelor party. Obviously our motif in the ambiance of the club I work at now is girls and rock and roll. We have the go-go girls dancing on the bar and everything. So. You'd be surprised how many women want to rent out the place as much as men do. So it's interesting.
I'd be very interested in that, of course, for educational purposes only. Would you say in the metropolitan New York area that you are more of a pro wrestling entertainment legend or more of a music industry legend?
Probably music industry, I would probably say. But there were people who came to shows or times I was there. It's like, yeah, the Barclay had a wrestling event tonight. A bunch of wrestling guys came to the club. They're like, "Does Kevin work here? Is that the same Kevin who works here?" Yeah, yeah. That was Tuesday night. He doesn't work on Tuesday nights. So it's like, so the Monday night, if they have a Monday Night Raw there, I'm never there on Monday or Tuesday. So and they'll go, but that's that same guy, right? It was like, yeah, no, I've been listening to him for years. That's
They should
crazy.
do
It's the same guy.
signings
Yeah.
for you on Monday nights. You could make a little extra coin.
Couple of people I met at the old club that I worked at in Queens who were actually Patreons of me and Don Tony and came to the club. And the guy was like a deer in the headlights. He goes, I can't believe you're a real person. And it was just the way he said it. He was like kind of looking at me and he's like, and do you think CM Punk's going to come back? Like, he just was looking for stuff to say. And it was almost kind of endearing. And he was just like, he walked out. My doorman's like, I saw this guy, Pete, listens to the show. Goes on next week. Goes, I just can't believe I'm talking to you. It's like, it's almost like I hear you on the radio since like 2007. And I just like, you do shows. This is what you do. Like, you talked about it for all these years. And I'm at one of your shows. And I'm like, yeah. I said, you probably were and didn't even realize it over the years, maybe,
It's true. I might have been at Ferrari's.
Yeah, you might have been at Ferrari's. I might have booked a show. Well, I never, but it's never me. My name presents. I'm part of, Blackthorn 51, Lucky 13 presents. I'm
to jog
I'm
your
the guy
memory,
behind the scenes. Yeah.
I would have been the very handsome guy who danced excellently, and all the girls fawned over me. So
Okay. Oh, you were that guy. Okay,
I was
you
that
were
guy,
that
yeah.
guy.
Exactly.
You were probably at Draper's show when they played Ferrari's. We did a show with Draper's old band, Lament.
I mean, if the guy that fits that description was at the show, that was definitely me.
But do you remember that club? I mean, it was, I don't know if you remember. At first, it was a pink motif. The building was it was painted pink, and then they painted it black because, I mean, just back in the time, it looked like like the Blue Oyster or something. It looked like a club of a different type of club.
No, it was pink because I was almost never in New York past 1993. Actually, even before that, but sometimes in the summers and whatever. And it was still pink, and that was the distinctive part of it. I have to be honest, back then, I'm not even sure I must have been aware vaguely of the concept of gay clubs, but I don't know. It just didn't, we live on Long Island. There's a lot of beach clubs with pastel colors.
That is true. That's what people told me. I think when we got there and brought all the Brooklyn people there, they're like, is that the club? Are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'd seen it at night. I never saw it in the light. It was light out when we got there. I was like, I didn't realize it was this color.
They were influenced by the Flamingo Kid or something.
That's what I thought. But yeah, it was a pink club because they did do dance nights there. And quite honestly, I think the dance nights, especially in Long Island, did a lot better than the rock nights did.
First of all, let me clue you in. I went where the girl that I was seeing at the time wanted me to go. I mean, that was the end of my thought process. Didn't matter what the building looked like. Didn't matter what color it was painted. Didn't matter what it was.
Was she a dance music girl?
I mean,
or into rock and roll.
Yeah, she was. No, she was. I mean, I think she liked both, but she liked to dance. I mean, if she was going to a dance club, she preferred dance to Tina Marie and and Nina Pebbles and Janet Jackson, whatever was going on.
That's old school, yeah.
Yeah, Technotronic or whatever. Well, it wasn't old school then; it was new then. I mean, '93, I was what was I? 24, 25? Yeah.
Yeah, I was. We're around the same age. So yeah, I think I was 24 when I started. But yeah, I mean, I worked a couple of dance nights here and there, just as extra security guy, just for the hell of it. Those were crazy nights, and the industrial dance nights were really crazy. Where people basically had the pacifiers in their mouth that glowed in the dark. Like, they had like these glow sticks and shit, and people would be sucking on, had pacifiers in their mouth like a baby, and it glowed, and it was like,
yes, that was weird. That was
I worked all the only shows I never worked at in the club business. And not for any other reason than I just never worked them, was hip hop shows, straight up hip hop shows. I never worked. I worked every kind of music show, including blues, rock, even a country show, jazz show, jazz fusion, but I never worked a hip hop show. Never worked. We've had hip hop shows, but I wasn't staffed for that show. I was always on the outside looking in.
There's still time. And by the way, when you said that you have patrons, it just struck me right now as we're talking. I'm a Patreon of you in two places.
Is that true?
Both DT and Wrestling Soup. So wow, I'm the greatest. Anyway,
You are the greatest. That is true.
yes. I think everyone should know. So pass it around.
That should be your new nickname, the greatest. Like
The
the
greatest.
Ali, the Muhammad Ali, maybe more the George Foreman of podcasters,
I would take that anytime.
or the Ken Norton, maybe even Ken Norton of podcasts. There you go.
You know what? That's okay. His son did pretty well for himself too before he lost his mind. But all right,
That's true.
I'll go with the
You don't want
George
to. You just
Foreman.
don't want to be the. You just don't want to be the Jerry Cooney of podcasts.
No, I definitely don't. And even worse than him, who was the guy that Mike Tyson made his comeback against?
Well, you could be the Mitch Blood Green of podcasts. That would be
Oh,
great.
no, he had personality. I'm not cool enough to be Mitch. Blood.
Trevor Burbeck. Who's the other guy? That
No, it
Tyson
wasn't Trevor
knocked out?
Burbeck, but I remember all Lennox Lewis.
What about
I remember,
what about James Bone Crusher Smith?
Yeah, I remember
him?
him.
Remember
I
him?
remember Razor Ruddock. I was a big Razor Ruddock.
Razor
fan.
Ruddock, and of course Evander the Commander Holyfield,
Yes, yeah. I had a friend who loved Evander Holyfield. I mean,
the one of the two people who stopped Mike Tyson in his tracks. Who was the other one? Buster Douglas.
Buster Douglas. Yeah, I remember seeing that fight. Like that was the Rocky.
1990.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
The other Warrior won the Ultimate Warrior won the title.
That's right. That guy also was the guy whose house I watched at. He was also a Cincinnati Reds fan, and they won the World Series that year. Anyway, we're definitely going astray. I think the audience knows that. Obviously, I've been on for a while, so we go astray. I can't thank you enough for your time because I don't want to have any more technical issues, and I don't want to try to play with putting a song on. I'm just going to say the outro is "It's a part of my rock and roll fantasy." People play it in your head. Tune in next week with Garden Views. You can follow Kevin. Well, I'm going to let Kevin tell you where you can be followed. Kevin, how can they follow you and support you? Where can they find you?
Twitter, I'm on. It's Kev Kevz as in Zorro, Castle Castle, Kev Castle, Kev Z Castle on Twitter. And am I on Facebook? Yeah, I'm on Facebook. I think you just punch in Kevin Castle. It'll take you to all my social media platforms. I'm Castle Lifer 1 on Instagram. Castle Lifer #1 on
Instagram. Jeez, I don't think I've ever seen a picture of you except for the one.
No,
that's
I'm always on.
23.
I'm always on Instagram. I'm on
Oh,
Instagram.
I've
for
actually
the,
deleted.
for the club, I'm on Instagram. Yeah.
Oh, true story. I deleted my Instagram account because it was so annoying. All the notifications.
Yeah, I just like to see hot pictures of my female friends, and that's pretty much the only reason I'm on there.
Yeah, I get that. I like. Well, it doesn't matter. I'm not even really that interested in that. So
You don't
about
need to be,
shows?
Jeff. I'm a single man. You don't need to be. I do.
Right. You've got the Castle Chronicles on the Don Tony Patreon. You're part of
yeah.
the Wrestling Soup family. Is Castle and Chicky off of hiatus yet? I don't think so.
No. Tomorrow night, I got the show with Trez, who's my other female co-host. Kev the Groundbreaker Castle, who brought females into the Soup Don Tony Kevin Castle family years ago. So I'm still with Trez. Yeah, if people even think that I don't do anything with Don Tony anymore, they'd be wrong. I'm still on the same Patreon that we've always been on. We do business on the Patreon, still do. So you can check me out there on Don Tony's Patreon every Thursday night at 10 o'clock. And tomorrow night I'm with Trez, who's been with me 7 years now on that Patreon. My God.
Wow.
So that's 10 o'clock tomorrow night. Wrestling Soup, me and Mish did a show today. That should be posted, I think, tomorrow. That's in the mainstream. That's a free show on all public platforms. New episode of Wrestling Soup where we talk about, of course, the Elimination Chamber, the rise of Sami Zayn, what's going to happen at WrestleMania. We got into a lot of good debate today on that show. Castle and Chicky Podcast Adventures, still on hiatus. My co-host has some personal things she's dealing with in life, and I'm busy enough too, so it was actually not a welcome time, but I'm give her all the time she needs before we come back. It could be soon, it could be sooner, it could be later, but we'll be back at some point this year. I just don't know exactly when, but we will be back.
And for those who don't know, Castle and Chicky is not a wrestling show at
No,
all.
no,
It's about pop culture, show business, really whatever.
80s, 90s, yeah, retro, music, clothing, fashion, movie reviews, TV series reviews, classic television. That's a straight up passion project. Baseball Chicky, you can see her. She's kind of a notable, kind of a Twitter celeb, so to speak. So yeah, and we're real life friends. I know her for 22 years, real life. Her brother used to play for me in a band. Met her decades ago, and we're great friends. And that's just a pleasure of a show. I miss that show just from a fun aspect. So that show I do for fun and for free all day long. So I look forward to that coming back.
Excellent. And for any of you who are checking the show just to hear Kevin's story, please check out my other show, Garden of Doom. And if you want to check out my wrestling podcast, you can, once you search, you can find it. But Garden of Doom is my passion project. So anyway, thanks again, Kevin. I'm going to let you go because I know that you're anxiously awaiting Dynamite starting because I know you never miss it. Yeah, he tries to miss it as often as possible.
Jeff, I'll be honest with you. I'm going back to work. I have a bunch of shows I have to confirm tonight. I'm probably not. I'll have it on in the background, and like usual, I'll turn my head. If something is appealing, I'll look to the right and see, and then I'll just put my head back on the computer and get work. I do my best work actually between the hours of 8 p.m. and 2 a.m. So I'm always on my game then. I'm a creature of the night, man. I do my best work at night.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you for being on the show, and I'll be listening to you. I'll probably be hearing you tomorrow again. But always good talking to you in the real. Sometimes I get confused whether I'm listening or talking. But that comes with us being, basically Biden's age. Anyway, all right. Thank you again,
Thanks,
Kevin.
man.
Thank you, audience. Check us out.
Peace.
Rate, review, and check out Kevin's stuff. Follow him on Twitter and Instagram and all the other good stuff. If you're in New York, go to the club. If he's there, go say hello. Pretend you're a wrestling fan. If you are a wrestling fan, don't pretend. All right, everyone. See you next week.